back to Jin's Cosmic. Today we are descending into the most private sanctuary of the Scorpio.
The contract of the soul. For a Scorpio, physical intimacy isn't a casual encounter, it's a soul contract signed in the dark. They don't just want to touch your skin. They want to navigate the parts of you that you've kept hidden from the light. Are you ready to be seen, or are you just afraid of the fire that burns beneath the surface? The space behind closed doors. In a world that often treats intimacy as a transaction, Scorpio treats it as a sacred alchemy. They are not looking for a distraction, they are looking for a transformation. Let's explore the psychological depths of the Scorpio's embrace, a place where the ego dies and the spirit is reborn.
The intelligence of desire. The surgical language of energy. In American culture, we often romanticize chemistry as a lightning bolt, a sudden accidental spark that happens to us. But for a Scorpio, chemistry is never accidental. It is a surgical language. Long before there is a whisper of physical contact, a Scorpio has already initiated a deep tissue scan of your entire energetic frequency. They are the human embodiment of an X-ray. While others are distracted by the surface level of your conversation, Scorpio is listening to the things you aren't saying. They are reading the slight tremor in your voice, the rhythmic shift in your breathing, and the telltale dilation of your pupils that signals a nervous system in response. To them, your body is a map of your history, and they are masters at finding the X that marks the spot of your most guarded secrets. The gaze, a trial by fire. For Scorpio, the prelude doesn't begin with a hand on a shoulder or a soft word. It begins with the intense gaze, a visual lock that feels like a trial by fire. This gaze isn't just about attraction, it's a high-stakes interrogation. They are looking for the crack in your armor, that microscopic opening where your public persona ends and your raw truth begins. They aren't just seeing you, they are testing your capacity for depth. The unvoiced question behind their eyes is always, can you handle the absolute weight of my presence, or will you shatter under the pressure of being truly seen? If you blink, if you look away, you've answered them. But if you hold that gaze, you've just signed a silent pact to enter their world. The dark magnetism. Entering the obsidian ocean. Once the connection is established, Scorpio activates what I call dark magnetism. This is a specialized gravity that begins to warp the reality around you, creating a sensory vacuum where the outside world simply ceases to exist. You'll feel a strange, irresistible pull, a sensation of being drawn into a deep obsidian ocean. In this space, the air feels thicker, and the silence becomes heavy with unspoken promises. This magnetism is designed to bypass your logical mind and speak directly to your primal instincts. It is a psychological invitation to surrender your control. Scorpio doesn't want a partner who struggles to keep their head above water. They want someone willing to dive into the abyss with them. The message is clear. The only way to survive the depth of a Scorpio is to stop fighting the current, let the air out of your lungs, and start sinking into the dark, beautiful unknown of their embrace. Here, in the pressure of the deep, is where the true alchemy begins.
The Great Erasure of boundaries. The psychological takeover. The total merge. When a Scorpio finally deconstructs the walls of their sanctuary and allows you inside, you aren't just entering a room, you are participating in a psychological takeover. In the Scorpio world, the physical connection is never the destination, it is merely the bridge, a temporary structure used to reach something much more profound, the total merge. They seek a state of quantum entanglement, where it becomes impossible to tell where your energy ends and theirs begins. This isn't a casual meeting of bodies, It is a collision of two universes where the boundary of the self is intentionally dissolved to make room for a shared singular consciousness.
The loss of self, stripping the social mask.
Scorpio has a primal intolerance for the performance. They don't want the curated, polite, or perfect version of you that you show to the world. During the height of intimacy, they use their relentless intensity as a solvent to strip away your social masks, layer by painful layer. They are hunting for your raw, unpolished essence, the part of you that exists before thought, before ego, and before fear. To a Scorpio, your vulnerability is your greatest beauty. They push for a level of transparency that can feel almost overwhelming, forcing you to stand emotionally naked in front of them. It is a radical shedding of the skin. They demand the truth of your soul, and in return, they offer you the rarest gift in the modern world, the experience of being completely known without being judged. The power dynamics. Possession as devotion. In the quiet of a Scorpio's embrace, a silent, high-stakes exchange of power takes place. This isn't the crude control of a dictator, but a sacred dance between possession and devotion. Scorpio doesn't just want to be with you, they want to own the silence between your heartbeats. For the American audience, the word possession often carries a negative weight, but in the Scorpio lexicon, it is the highest form of absolute trust. To own someone is to take full responsibility for their shadows. When they claim you, they are promising to be the eternal keeper of your secrets, the guardian of your fears, and the protector of your darkest depths. They show you the obsidian parts of their own soul as a down payment, expecting you to match their courage. It is a mutual surrender where giving up control becomes the ultimate act of power. The sensory deep dive, the language of the breath. Scorpio operates with a slow, deliberate intensity that redefines the concept of time. They don't rush, they savor the descent. Every touch they offer is a calculated question, a probe into your nervous system to see how you respond, and every breath you take becomes an involuntary answer. This is the sensory deep dive. A state of hyper-presence that forces you back into your own body, perhaps for the first time in your life. They anchor you to the now, with such force that the past and future cease to exist. In this space, the physical world becomes a laboratory of feeling. They aren't just touching you, they are rewiring your sensory map, teaching you that intimacy isn't something you do, but a state of being that you inhabit. The phoenix rising, the post-union stillness, where the alchemy completes. The true intensity of a Scorpio doesn't dissipate when the lights come back on or when the physical world resumes its pace. Instead, it deepens in the post-union stillness. To a Scorpio, the moments following a deep connection are the most sacred. This is the cooling process of the alchemy, where the raw energy exchanged is finally forged into something permanent. While others might reach for a distraction or turn to sleep, Scorpio remains present in the echoes. They are anchor points in the aftermath, holding the space as the dust of the ego settles. In this silence, a permanent, energetic cord is woven. You aren't just two people who shared a moment. You have become quantized, entangled in a way that defies distance and time, carrying the frequency, the heavy impression. Scorpio doesn't just walk away and move on to the next chapter of their day. They carry a specific piece of your frequency within them, and they leave a significant part of theirs within you. This is precisely why intimacy with a Scorpio feels so heavy. It carries the weight of a spiritual imprint. They don't just touch your life, they leave a permanent mark on your psychic DNA. To have been truly close to a Scorpio is to be haunted by a presence that lingers in your subconscious long after the physical meeting has ended. They have memorized the map of your soul, and that map now exists in their internal archive forever. The Phoenix Protocol: Rebirth through Intensity. You never leave a Scorpio sanctuary as the same person you entered. The intensity they bring to the union acts as a catalytic fire. Yes, you may feel burned by the sheer scale of their emotional and psychological demands, but this is a purposeful burn. It is intended to incinerate the parts of you that were stagnant, dishonest, or small. This is the Phoenix Protocol. Like the mythical bird, you find yourself rising from the ashes of that encounter with a clearer, sharper sense of your own power. They didn't just meet your physical needs, they acted as a mirror for your highest potential. By demanding that you be raw and real, they forced you to rediscover the strength you've been hiding from yourself. They didn't just hold you, they awakened your soul, leaving you with the realization that you are capable of a depth you never dared to imagine before. To be loved by a Scorpio is to be invited into a lifelong process of constant, beautiful self-evolution.
The sanctuary of truth, the mirror of sovereignty. If you have ever been loved by a Scorpio, you know that their intimacy is not just a physical act, it is a relentless mirror. They don't just see you, they reflect you back to yourself in your most sovereign form. In the heat of their presence, you are forced to look at your own strength, your own hunger, and those hidden depths you've spent a lifetime trying to ignore. A Scorpio doesn't fall in love with your mask. They fall in love with the you that exists behind the shadows. This reflection is often startling, even terrifying, because it reveals your greatness just as clearly as your flaws. They hold up a mirror of truth and challenge you to finally own everything you see in it. The gift of absolute visibility. This is what I call the gift of absolute visibility. In a modern world where most connections are filtered and superficial, being seen by a Scorpio is a radical experience. It is the hallowed ground where you no longer have to explain yourself, because they have already felt the pulse of your soul. To be visible in their eyes is to be validated at the deepest level of your existence. It is a sanctuary where your darkness is not judged, but understood as a necessary part of your brilliance. They don't want a safe love, they want a love that is a sanctuary of truth, a place where two people can stand in the raw light of their shared reality and not turn away. The legacy of the encounter. Ultimately, the Scorpio experience is a rite of passage. Whether the connection lasts a lifetime or just a season, the impact is eternal. You carry the Scorpio seal on your spirit, a reminder that you are capable of surviving the fire and emerging more authentic than ever before. They have taught you that true intimacy isn't about losing yourself in another. It's about finding yourself through the intensity of the other. You have walked through the obsidian ocean and returned with the ability to see in the dark. Is the intensity of a Scorpio a fire you are ready to dance in, or is the weight of absolute visibility too much to carry? Whether you are the one holding the mirror or the one looking into it, remember, the truth will set you free, but first, it will demand everything. Let's bridge the cosmic gap in the comments. Drop a Scorpio or a new moon if you've survived the mirror. Subscribe to Jin's Cosmic as we continue to decode the sacred architecture of the soul.